So just real quickly on the Gaza hostage situation, how many of the 98 hostages that are still held are believed to be alive, all 98?
I have to refer you to the Israelis who have been taking the lead in terms of characterizing their best assessment, which is combined with our best assessment of the answer to that question. We have a good sense, we believe, with respect to the Americans, but in terms of that broader universe, particularly the Israeli hostages, they'd be in the best position to answer your question.
And Jake, I just wanted to ask you another question that has to do with the timing and the sequencing of some of the things that the administration has been announcing. We've seen oil prices jump as a result of the tightened sanctions. Was there any, and then we've got other things happening now, sort of new restrictions on AI and chips that are all coming in the kind of final days of this administration. Can you say a word to your thinking about the timing, and then also, whether you expect from where you sit right now that oil prices are going to stay high and that American consumers will sort of bear the brunt of that decision?
Well, first, remember that when the Ukraine war started in those early months in 2022, oil prices spiked way above $100. The price environment for us to put sanctions on Russia's oil sector at that time would have meant a really significant hit to the American pocketbook and the American consumer. The price environment today is profoundly different. You said spiked. Actually, oil prices today are significantly lower than they have been over an average in the past few years. So actually, we have just a fundamentally different price environment, and that is the reason for why now. Because President Biden was not going to impose sanctions on Russia's oil sector if it meant an undue burden on American working families. He does not believe that the action he took places such an undue burden on them, and he believes, as you project out over the course of 2025 on supply and demand, that the oil market is very well supplied, that oil prices will stabilize in a place that does not impose undue burdens on American consumers, and that on the one hand, we can hit Putin's pocketbook without, on the other hand, taking too big a whack out of the American people's pocketbook. That was not an opportunity available to us 1 year ago. It is now an opportunity available to us, and that is why the president took this decision. The other point that I would make is that the new team is setting up for a negotiation. And in a negotiation, you need leverage. And part of that leverage has to come from the kind of economic pressure that makes Putin see he's going to continue to pay a significant price economically. And so this is also in service of an effective diplomatic outcome that will produce a just and sustainable peace for Ukraine. With respect,
did you coordinate that with the incoming team?
I'm not going to say we coordinated it, but we informed them of what we intended to do because we were trying to maintain transparency through the transition and share with them the actions that we are taking in advance so that they aren't surprised by any of them. That also goes for the AI diffusion rule. Again, not coordinated, and I don't want to suggest that, but we're transparent with them about the steps in that regard. We have been working on that issue for going on a year now. It is a complicated question because we're trying to strike the right balance between ensuring that the frontier of AI stays in the United States of America and our close allies, while also ensuring that the rest of the world can benefit from AI and get the hardware that they need to power AI applications going forward. So that balance required a huge amount of work and back and forth and many principals meetings, conversations with the president. It ultimately came together towards the end, but we've been telegraphing for some time that this rule was coming, and the key for us was making sure that we had it in place. But we also set up a 120-day comment period so that we're not putting the next administration in a position where they immediately have to start moving out. They can take comments and they can make judgments at that point about what the best way forward is. We think this is, in a bipartisan spirit, the way to best preserve and protect America's lead when it comes to artificial intelligence. Yeah.
Thanks.